Welcome, folks, to my newest LP edition, and the game you all voted on. This is going to be the Let's Play of Imperium Galactica. But you folks might actually not know what this game is all about, because I think I'm quite old for my things of LPing, but being 25. But this game was released in 1997, so you see, it's quite a long time from today. And maybe some people actually don't know this game. So for those who don't, I hope that I can make this an interesting one. And for those who do know this game and really wanted me to see that, playing that, then I hope I can make it the most fun and interesting thing you've seen for a while. So Imperium Galactica, what is this game? What's the core of this one? Well, back in the days where we had games like Civilization 1 and Alpha Centauri, this game was a special 4X strategy game. 4X standing for Explore, Expand, Exploit, and Exterminate. So these games that are 4X strategy games cycle around these four words. You explore some stuff, you expand your colonies or your town, you exploit the landscape around you, or the planets in this case for this game, and you exterminate your enemies that are all bad and evil. So, what's this game about? Yeah, most actually about that. You have a few colonies at the beginning of the game, which we will see quite shortly. You build them up, you build new buildings, you build a few factories so you can build fleet ships, spaceships, fighters, big battleships, and all that kind of stuff, which is very nice. And the graphics for the actual colony is very good, I would assume, for the time being 1997. Oh yeah, it was made by Digital Reality. You may know that studio still by that name, not today anymore, but you may have heard of it. The beginning of computer gaming, so to speak, on DOS-based games. And they make some fine games, and this being one of them, definitely one of them. Because Imperium Galactica is one of the games I played like a dozens of times. However, being a small 12-year-old child, if you will, at that time of when it came out, it was like insanely hard for me to complete. Because this game has a special thing that not many games have. Let's explain it like this. If you start off a game, a new one, and you take your time to build up stuff, to build a fleet, to explore the options you have, you should do that in pause mode. The reason for that is you will need all the time you have to be compatible in this compatible? No. Competitive. That's the word. Not compatible. To be competitive in this game. Because the aliens around you, they develop themselves, of course, and they do that at a very rapid rate. And if you not pause the game and try to do it in real time and almost lose track of time and do things like that and that at the same time, and you don't know what you're doing, then it can happen that the aliens are so advanced when you reach the point where you have the whole universe open up to you that you pretty much lose the game before you even started. The enemies are not that aggressive in the beginning because they have their own little squabbles and stuff like that among themselves. But once you reach a certain rank in this game, I think it's like 6 ranks, I think 6 ranks, you start off as lieutenant and make your way up the ranking system in the Galactic Empire. And once you reach a certain level, then you will have opened up a lot more planets, a lot more of the map, and you can do more things at the same time. However, it should be noted that all this can be very hard to accomplish if you play this game for the first time. So I want to show you an insight on this game, how you play it, what you play, how you advance as best as you can in the ranks. Hopefully I'm not screwing this up, so I'm gonna tell you right now, before I start this game off, that it is possible, if I screw some things up, that this is going to be very hard to complete if we're not careful. So there might be a slight possibility that this LP might turn into a let's fail. So it's more like a random fact. I'm not sure if it's working out right, but hopefully it does. So yeah, you build up your colony, you build up a fleet, you try to expand your territory, you try to exterminate the big bad enemies, and that's actually about it. But the gameplay itself is very, very deep, and I think this game is probably overlooked quite a few times when you talk about good strategy games from back in the DOS era. So I want to show you this, and hopefully it doesn't crash when I start a new game, because I had to adjust DOSBox a little bit for that one. It's not too happy with auto cycles, auto for CPU cycles, because it keeps on crashing. Not sure why, just the matter of fact is I had to change it to a fixed value. It's probably running a bit slower than I wanted it to be, but hopefully this works out right. So yeah, let's start off a new game, shall we? And of course it crashed already on the selecting of the actual difficulty setting, so let's try that again, shall we? And enjoy the introductory video sequence.
You called, Colonel?
Yes, Lieutenant. Good to see you.
At your command, sir.
The commander of a sector has just retired, and I'm assigning you to go there and to secure the area. The planet Achilles has been in a state of war for some time now, and more than half the colony has been destroyed. Your mission objectives are to rebuild the colony and to maintain peace. Although I will remain your superior, you will also be answering to the governors of the 3 planets in the sector. Any questions?
One, sir. When am I scheduled to leave?
You have 4 hours to pack your belongings. The transfer ship will be waiting in landing zone G5. Good luck.
Thank you, sir.
And we're now inside of the game, the actual interface, so to speak. So I want to get you through the basic, well, interface of the game for the first few hours, probably. So I'm going to explain a few things about the actual game interface that you have on your ship. This is my ship, as you figure out. We have the star map that we can go to, which I'm going to show you quite soon. Then the equipment screen, the info screen, and the colony surface. There's also a possibility to play some messages, or if you want and be really cheesy, you can ask the Colonel, "Hey, I need some reinforcements."
What is the problem, Dante? Just a few pirate ships are causing you such a headache. I cannot send any reinforcements now. All our ships are tied up.
What the bastard. Oh well. So we have to be at our own for the time being. As you can see down here, by the way, I've frozen the game. I've paused it. Because there are two different speed settings. It would be normal and accelerated time, which is normally like 4 times the speed that we normally have. I'm going to show you my room later. That's not an integral part of the game, really. So I'm going to stick with a star map for now. So we click and get onto the star map. So this is the actual colony sector that you're ruling over right now. Down here you see a minimap. You can see these small red dots here on the right hand side, which represent alien colonies, but that's not really much of a problem right now for us because we don't care about these. What we do care about is these 3 planets: Achilles, St. Sterling and Naxos. And of course our fleet, which has the beautiful name of Fleet Number 1. Fleet Number 1 is part of the Galactic Empire, moves at a speed of 28, is guarding nothing right now, is near no planet, has no flagships, 1 destroyer, 3 fighters and no ground forces. Ground forces mean that you can have tanks in your army sometimes, when you've got flagships, and then you can drop them on enemy planets and attack them by ground force. However, for the time being, that's not really much of a problem because we don't have any ground forces to do something with, because we don't have any flagships. So for the moment it's really important to know that we move at a speed of 28 and we've got 1 destroyer and 3 fighters. That's the most important thing right now. Other than that, you've got 4 traders on the map, which move at speed 12, 10, 14 and 8. These traders, they move from planet to planet exchanging goods. You don't really do much with them, they just move there. And they're just there to provide a few additional quests at the beginning of the game, but other than that they're not really doing much. You will see what I mean when we get to the point where we actually have to take care of these traders and well, have to try to rescue them or try to stop them from escaping off a planet. So these planets, they all have different surfaces, as you can see. This one, for example, is a desert planet. That one is a frozen one, and that one is an Earth-type planet. You could see that if you scroll in really close, but most of the time you really don't care about what kind of type planet they are, because, well, you can build on every planet, and the rest just doesn't matter that much. So for now, we're gonna take a look at the different screens that we have.
Information.
We start off with the planet screen for now. It's got the planet Achilles, Naxos and St. Sterling. And always when I click on a different one, you can see on the right hand side the little white square moves to the other planet.
Colony information.
Then we've got colony information screen, which tells us exactly what this planet is all about. It belongs to Galactic Empire, it has humans on it, it has a desert surface. We've got 8,153 neutral people, minus 100. That means we will get less people the next time the day changes, so they're dying out if you want. Neutral means, well, they're not positive nor negative in the mood to us, so they pay their taxes but they're not really cheering us on, nor are they revolting. Living space is at the moment 0. That's just bad, of course, because it's red. Hospital space is more than enough. Food is a little bit under what we need, but we can exchange that later. We've got no power, although we don't need power right now. You will see that in a second why. And we need a colony hub. The colony hub is the main center of interest on your colony. So if you lose a colony hub, you should definitely rebuild it as fast as possible, because otherwise you have a very big problem in your hand. So we want to have the colony hub there as soon as possible, and don't want to lose it. We could see some tax information here if there would be day 2. We don't, so yeah, we don't see anything right now because we have no second day yet to compare it to. You could raise the taxes if you want. I'm gonna leave it at low for the time being on Achilles.
Military information.
Military information would net you the actual overview about how many ground forces you have, like tanks and radar cars. And you would see how many fighters are in space from that colony. Right now, the fighters are non-existent, so we only have 6 tanks on the ground.
Financial information.
I've got financial information. As you can see, we would see something if there would be day 2. However, there is no day 2 yet, so we don't see anything, just as before.
Fleets.
You can have a look at the fleets. Well, they don't really have anything. We do have 1 destroyer and 3 fighters, nothing else.
Buildings.
So here's the building screen. And as you can see, we could click through these different buildings, but we can't build anything yet, but the colony hub. The colony hub is, as I said, the most important part. Without a colony hub, you cannot build any other building on a planet. So you have to have a colony hub on a planet to build other buildings. The numbers at the left side, they tell you how many buildings you have on that planet of that type, and the second number tells you how many buildings of that type do you have in your whole colony world, in your whole screen that you control. So we've got 0 colony hubs on Achilles, you see here, planet Achilles, but we've got 2 in total, meaning if we would scroll through this, this is St. Sterling, 1 colony hub, Naxos, 1 colony hub, and back on Achilles, none of course. So we've got 1 prefab housing on every planet we own, and 1 nuclear power plant on every planet we own. So that's the actual meaning of these numbers. You can see how much it costs, how much energy it would need, how many workers it does, and approximately, for example, for a power plant, how much energy it would produce. However, you should be careful about placing power plants, especially the nuclear ones, because they're not very efficient. The approximate value is probably alright for the time being, but there are so many different randomizations with these power plants. They can have, like, if this says 3,500, it could mean you get 2,500, or it could also mean you get 7,500. So it's very, very random at how much power you really get, which is a little bit of a flaw, I think, in the game, but you've got better power plants like the fusion plant later on, or solar plants, which you can put down, and then that's not much of a big issue really, because these power plants are far better than the nuclear power plants.
Inventions.
On the invention screen you would see, or will be seeing, what kind of ships you've developed, what kind of equipment you can use. Right now, for example, our destroyer has a hyperdrive V1 plus lasers. Nothing else yet. He could add a light shield, and that's about it. We've got 3 fighters 1. We're going to go for fighters 2 once we can. And I've got 1 destroyer 1.
Fleets.
Let's take a look at our fleet.
Equipment.
So this is the fleet screen. When you click on one of the equipment screen, when you click on one of your fleets, you can see we've got 3 fighters level 1, 0 fighters level 2, and the destroyer, the Excalibur. You could add 1 shield to it if we had one, but we don't, so we can't do that just yet. And we've got 3 lasers out of 6. I've got a standard hyperdrive V1, nothing else there.
Star map.
So let's go back on the star map, which you can also access your fleet, by the way, by double-clicking on it as well.
Star map.
So yeah, that's the basic principle of the star map and the information screens that I've just gone through. And when we come back, folks, we'll be focusing on probably building up the colony Achilles a little bit and showing you the actual colony graphics. So, see you then, folks.